for Australia. Don't know about Glenn Maxwell and Mitch Starc. Happy with the way Australia's coming along?
I think Mitchell Starc will be fine. I noticed he bowled for an hour or so in the nets yesterday. I think he'll be okay. Glenn Maxwell's the one that's a big question mark on how he's come back after his terrible leg injury. Look, I think the Australians have plenty of depth, plenty of ability to cover most situations. A bit like India, I think they've got a good squad that, you know, they've got spinners, they've got all-rounders, strong batting, good pace attack. Yeah, injuries, there's one or two players. Oh, that's gone past the outside edge. Good bit of work by Rahul.
Now, he's not had his best day behind the stump, so he'll be happy with that.
Director, we have an umpire review for stumping. I've checked the front foot, it's a fair delivery. Can we start with front on spin vision, please? Proper roll as the ball passes the bat, please. Appears to be missing the bat. Can you have ultra edge to check the same, please? Clear gap as the ball passes the bat. Satisfied, no bat involved. Can you give me the best side on for the stumping? It is grounded. Foot is grounded when the play is lighter. I'm ready with my decision for the big screen.
Yeah, the foot never left the crease and then never left the ground.
No, I think back to the Australians squad, their issue is their middle order. Who's going to bat where? And the middle order has been a little bit of a weakness in recent times. Look for two there. Big boundary square. Yeah, they'll come back. Good running.
Especially from Cameron Green, because he was quicker with the first run, but he waited for his partner to respond. Stayed in his crease and he looked at Labuschagne. Are you keen? Okay, when he said yes, that's when he left his crease. Good running from Green.
Just to put numbers to what you were saying, Mark, about that Australian middle order. They get a single. 7th out of 10 countries in for numbers 4 to 8, only averaging 29.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal. What's happened a little bit in the past is the top order made a lot of runs, then they've got out together, then you have the middle order, two new players at the crease.
You could be talking about India.
Which is what you can't have, which is what you cannot do.
Salute. Once again goes past the edge. He's definitely getting the ball to do a bit, is Jadeja. We'll take a look at it again. I don't think anyone looks too interested.
We have an umpire review for which wicket. I checked the front foot. It's fair delivery. Can you give me the best angle for the hit wicket, please? Hit wicket. Hit wicket. Yeah, I can see the ball rebound from the wicketkeeper's glove. The batter's foot is grounded behind the popping crease. I'm ready with my decision for the big screen.
Tell you what, that was quicker than Mahendra Singh Dhoni's stumpings.
That's what I'm saying. If you can master that wicket keeping, you don't need to catch it properly.
126 for 3. Quick throw as well.
My parents got an Aquasana. It filters bad stuff out of the water. Makes it taste great. So they told me to drink more water. They also said stop using so many cups.
Now up to 50% off at aquasana.com.
By unveiling the significance of your birth chart, I can reveal your innate qualities, talents, and life path. Astrology and numerology is the key to unlocking your full potential. Call me today to begin your journey towards fulfillment.
9 over 351. That is the kind of scores we've had here in the last couple of games. Bumrah comes back after that wonderful little burst from Shami.
There's just some signs that I don't think that's going to be the sort of score that's going to be made today. I don't know whether the track's just starting to loosen up a little bit. It's quite dry and hot, we know that, and there's some mosaic sort of style cracking on the pitch, whether they're just starting to loosen up a little bit. I don't know.
Just too many advantages here in Mohali if you're batting first. In the afternoon, the spinners will get more. Once the lights come on, it's a little cooler, and then in the afternoon, it just settles down. It's a little more predictable. I don't think you'll get that ball to jag off the pitch like the one that we saw with Shami. Even Jadeja getting that ball to turn won't happen under lights. Seen quite a few games here. Only if you get 300, 320, you have a chance batting first to win the game. Bumrah is back. Let's see what he does in the middle overs. 3 wickets have been picked up by India.
First one, brilliant bit of bowling by Mohammad Shami. Just did enough to get the outside edge of Mitchell Marsh. And then David Warner looking to hit a 6, didn't quite get it in the middle, got it high on the bat. And then Mohammad Shami got one to nip a long way off the seam. Inside edge by Steve Smith, back on the leg peg. So some good bowling, particularly from Shami and Bumrah, who are excellent up front with the new ball.
A new ball. When you look at Bumrah in white ball cricket, you think of IPL T20 cricket. He eventually sort of makes an impact in the middle and the final overs. But the ball, if the conditions are right, he's going to get that new ball to swing to and some early wickets possible.
Well, I think Bumrah and Kuldeep Yadav, the two big wicket takers. I mean, Siraj is a good bowler, so is Shami. But to me, they're the two real key bowlers looking ahead.
I think the extra run conceded, then straight away mid-wicket puts his hand up and says sorry, that it should have been just a single. Surya Kumar Yadav at mid-wicket.
So right, Marco, about Bumrah and Kuldeep Yadav is watching this misfield. We tend to focus as a country a lot on the batters, but you're so right. Bumrah and Kuldeep Yadav, they have a by India.
That was the first one. Brilliant bit of bowling by Mohammad Shami. Just did enough to get the outside edge of Mitchell Marsh
By India.
And then David Warner looking to hit a six, didn't quite get it in the middle, got it high on the back. And then Mohammad Shami got one to nip, but a long way off. So just did enough to get the outside edge of Mitchell Marsh. And then David Warner looking to hit a six, didn't quite get it in the middle, got it high on the back. And then Mohammad Shami got one to nip, but a long way off. So just did enough to get the outside edge of Mitchell Marsh. And then David Warner looking to hit a six, didn't quite get it in the middle, got it high on the back. And then Mohammad Shami got one to nip, but a long way off. So just did enough to get the outside edge of Mitchell Marsh.
Getting the ball in the swing, you begin to let the swing. Getting the ball in the swing, you begin to let
That's 11 overs for 38 on this practice. That's 11 overs for 38 on this practice.
You have a crack.
That's 11 overs for 38 on this practice.
You have a crack.
That's 11 overs for 38 on this practice.
I'm marking him quite low out.
That's 11 overs for 38 on this practice.
I'm marking him quite low out.
That's 11 overs for 38 on this practice.
I'm marking him quite low out.
That's 11 overs for 38 on this practice.
So I'll backtrack a little bit there.
The ever-generous Mark Wars probably just changed from 2.5 to 2 3/4.
We'll get Brad Haddon on. He's the keeping expert, so he'll give us a proper assessment. But
Well,
it's a big ask for KL Rahul to do all three.
The reason he is keeping India's #1 choice in the middle order and behind the stumps, sadly not yet available. I think if you're Rishabh Pant, you're celebrating life at the moment after the accident he went through. And so India have got to find somebody else. Ishan Kishan, KL Rahul, Sanju Samson, all those names in consideration. Remember, Rahul Dravid kept wickets in 2003. 2 of the over, 133 for 3. Come and watch the cricket. Get on you. I hope you're enjoying the contest. Australia slipped to under 5 and over. Here's Bumrah with his 6th. Will go for 4. All he needed to do was go over the field at points because third man was about 45. So that's a good shot. Murli Karthik joins us in the commentary box along with the rather more genial and friendly examiner, I'd like to believe, in Brad Haddon.
Mark Waugh, Cahill Rahul, captain the team today. Scorching heat. And life a little bit difficult standing back. What he has been, he's been sharp up to the stumps, where he spent a lot of time here in the subcontinent.
Just about 5 and over. You wouldn't have thought in the 28th over, 137, when we first looked at that surface, you probably thought it's going to be a 330, 340 kind of game.
A lot of credit's got to go to India. David Warner got out in the 18th over, Steve Smith the 21st, and Marnus Labuschagne was missing a run out in the 22nd. And that's just there where Australia have had to try to consolidate and get back into this game to get around that 300 they'd like.
Just getting down to talking about Australia at the World Cup with when Mark was just leaving us. The injuries to Travis Head, potential availability or otherwise unavailability of Glenn Maxwell. That puts a question mark over the balance because those were the two who on the odd day could have given you some spin bowling. I don't know what the situation with Ashton Agar is. Because otherwise you're looking at just the one spin bowler in Adam Zampa. All the other all-rounders, Cameron Green, Marcus Stoinis, Mitch Marsh, all seam up. Now Bumrah thinks he's onto something here. I think he's the only one who thinks he's onto something.
It's bounced.
जो कि हम आपको लाइव कमेंट्री इस वक्त दिखा रहे हैं बॉल बाय बॉल कमेंट्री के साथ पूरे मैच का स्कोर बोर्ड आपको इजी चैनल पर देखने को मिलेगा यूट्यूब पर। तो आप सबसे रिक्वेस्ट है कि हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें और साथ ही साथ वीडियो को लाइक नहीं किया तो वीडियो को लाइक लाजमी कर दीजिए।
They're quick to point out KL Rahul. Definitely a sound there, but didn't carry. He knew very well that it had bounced before it got to him. Was it bad? But was it bad? Is Cameron Green stuck right now?
Cameron Green's still in a learning pattern in his career. This is only his 18th game for Australia, and this is different conditions. He spent a lot of time in 2020 cricket and one-day cricket at the top of the order to take the game on. Just have a look there. Came off the pad. It didn't matter that it didn't carry through the keeper. Yeah, but this is a different scenario for him, and this is the role he's going to look to play in the World Cup. He's got to learn to get off strike. He's got to learn to use some batsmanship to get up the other end.
Imagine at the moment in a full strength side, maybe Stoinis is ahead of him at the moment, even though Stoinis hasn't exactly been scoring a lot of runs. We'll come back to that. 137 for 3.
बहुत ही बढ़िया मुकाबला जारी है। अश्विन बॉलिंग पर मौजूद, अच्छा ओवर इंडिया की जानिब से, अश्विन की जानिब से।
Well, that's a squad then for the World Cup. What do you make of that? And where do you see a Cameron Green or a Marcus Stoinis, that kind of player, slotting in?
Yeah, I'm interested to see where Travis Head is, whether his injuries is as serious as first thought, if he miss any games. But another thing we're talking off air was maybe someone like a Cameron Green can go up to number 3. Marsh can go hard at the top with David Warner. Cameron Green can play a more familiar role that he's played in this form of the game. And then Steve Smith can bat it forward, control those middle overs to spin, get to the other end. Maybe that's another option for Australia.
Does manage to maneuver the spinners. In the middle overs, you definitely want someone who can keep rotating the strike. Yes, they will hit the odd boundary or have the odd big over, but definitely you don't want someone to change the tempo of the game by getting stuck. At the moment,
reminds me of Colombo, the background that we have here in Mohali. It's very hot before the game, unusually hot. Mohali, you come here around this time when it's not raining, it can be hot, but it's mostly dry heat. The humidity was something that was different, hard to understand. Maybe this is the reason why. Breeze starting to blow, the trees are starting to shake, heaving in the breeze. Oh, it's getting seriously windy. Now in Sri Lanka we had the groundsmen in bright orange shirts. Here we have some young groundsmen on the ground, I think running towards the covers. Dressed in groundsmen in bright orange, just gusty wind shirts.
That looked like rain building up at the back there. Or a big dust storm.
Some young groundsmen on the ground, I think running towards the covers. Dressed in groundsmen in bright orange, famous gusty wind storms that we had.
That looked like rain building up at the back there. Or a big dust storm.
Look at some young, really strong winds. Groundsmen on the ground, I think running towards the covers. Put a speed gun on that groundsman in the bright orange, famous gusty wind storms that we had.
That looked like rain building up at the back there. Or a big dust storm.
Look at some young, really strong winds. Amazing how the scenario has changed completely. The covers. Take a distant view of the ground. The groundsman in the bright orange, gusty wind storms that we had.
That looked like rain. I'm interested really with Jadeja here. He's bowling well. He's putting a lot of pressure on Australia. But would you be inclined to bring mid-off or mid-on up and challenge Marnus or Green to hit over the top looking for a wicket? Or just bowl when he's not ready?
Now, I've always been of the opinion, especially in modern day cricket, and given the middle overs, that they meander a bit too much. If you have got quality spinners, if you've got good spinners, you have to take the odd gamble. And when I say the odd gamble, you're absolutely right about field position. As a bowler, what do? It's your skill. It's also what you play around with the batter's mind when it comes to field positions. Sometimes you show him something and do something else. So I would be inclined definitely to bring mid-off up and just play around with his mind for a bit and then bring mid-on up and have both of them up for a couple of deliveries and ask him to chance his arm.
Yeah, I agree, and I think in the modern game we know how powerful the hitters are in the last 10 overs, so you're looking for your point of difference in the World Cup, and maybe that might be captains being more proactive with the likes of mid-off or mid-on, bring him up for 2 balls, drop him back. And if you can find a way to get middles and be proactive during that middle part of the game, then all of a sudden the damage at the back end is not so extreme.
Slight hesitation, the dive from Labuschagne to make ground undisturbed, so it's 155 for 3. Ishan Kishan, keeper, but now in the outfield does a pretty good job. Almost like he slithers on the ground when the ball is being hit off the turf. This is the last ball.
Yeah, just then a little bit of hesitation here. Cameron Green, if you look at that replay, there was ball watching. If he had gone to the bowlers then, I think he was more of a chance. Going back to that point about how you manipulate the field with the spin, it doesn't have to be for 6 balls in a row. It can be up for 2 balls, back for 1. All you're trying to get is a batsman to make a different decision. And that part of the game, if you can get the wickets there, and because we know if the batsman is set in the last 10, it actually doesn't matter who you bowl in the modern game. The ball will go everywhere. So just being a bit more proactive in what you're trying to do during those middle overs could be the point of difference in winning a World Cup.
Also, this is something which the great Shane Warne, the late Shane Warne, always spoke about. Sometimes when things aren't happening, when things are loaded against you, these are the small things which make a batter think. You might be doing nothing, you might be doing the same thing, but it's the field set which sometimes makes the man at the other end think that you're up to something, and that gets you a couple of deliveries or makes you a better bowler during that period. So I completely agree with what you said. I would, as I said, I would be inclined to just move around a few things because you're seen as a wicket taker. If there is somebody picked only to do a holding job, then it's fine. You're doing your job. But in the middle overs, you're trying to get a wicket. You're trying to get something out of nowhere, make something happen out of nowhere. You just play around a bit more.
Shardul Thakur in. Very good. There was a drop catch as well. And just towards the end of that first spell, he bowled a couple of real loose balls. It was an expensive over before it was taken off. Come back for another spell. Cameron Green on strike. There's something that happened on the field which is nice to see. The players obviously won't be too happy, but Kumara Dharmasena, one of the umpires here, when he saw the substitutes come onto the field, take their time with the drinks, he just sort of waved them off. Really took charge of the situation to ensure that the game moves on.
One of the toughest jobs in the modern game is the 12th and 13th man. I've never seen the batsman changes. If you're 12th or 13th man to Steve Smith, and he gets 100, he would change his gloves 15 times.
During my playing days, if I was dropped, I used to always feel that might as well be out of the squad and playing first-class cricket as captain and get some power back and some stature in the team. Otherwise, you're running with drinks all the time. But there are, of course, people who believe, you're a team player, got to help the team out there in the middle.
Exactly, I was going to ask you that. So everybody starts thinking like you, then there's no 12, 13, 14, then 15 man. Everybody wants to play and everybody's wanting to have that stature which you want.
The thing is, the simple task of running onto the field and giving drinks. For that, I don't need to be a certain level of cricketer.
How do you decide who gets to do that if you're playing for your national team?
Moving on. can see the weather has changed. Good looking shot, but India again troubled by what happened in the Asia Cup as well. There was a game when they dropped some simple catches.
Yeah, it's an interesting series, this one, with the balance between trying to get things right and prepare for a World Cup, making sure players don't get injured. But the one thing you can control is your attitude in the field. And we've just seen today Europe been a little bit off in that department. We know that the heat out there is quite extreme, but that's one thing you can control, your standard.
Also, this is a ground where you can't complain that there can be anything uneven. It's one of the lushest outfields in India. It's quite, it's made like a billiard stop, so hardly any excuse to be sloppy.
Witnessing Marnus Labuschagne getting a little bit frustrated here from Shardul. He's building some dots. He looking like he wants to score, but the length is troubling Marnus here at the moment.
Good comeback after that expensive over from Shardul Thakur. 156 for 3. Seems like things possibly rain. Now change of ends for Ravichandran Ashwin. Got something to do with the breeze. Trying to figure out how the breeze is blowing for Ashwin as he runs in.
From KL Rahul. Ashwin at the other end used the breeze to his advantage.
Tell you what, Cameron Green is more the batter who is struggling at the moment. He got 14 of 30, and his focus has been on running hard between the wickets, struggling to get any kind of form with shot making.
It's interesting delivery there from Ashwin. The previous ball was 84 miles, and that one a quicker ball 99. But the slower ones, when he bowls and comes over the ball, looks like it's holding the wicket and getting more purchase.
Now was there a deflection, and is the ball trapped in his legs? They're claiming it, or is it bowled? It's all happening.
Well, sometimes you don't even need your gloves. That looks like it's come straight off Rahul's pads.
Something. I checked the front foot if I had anything. Can we start with front on spin vision, please? The keeper has dropped the ball. Can you give me the side on now for the stumping? Can you give me the opposite side? I just want to see if any part of the foot is grounded behind the popping greens. Opposite side, please. Copy that. Opposite side is building. One frame back. Just freeze it when the bail lights up, please. Yeah, just freeze it there. I don't see any part of the foot grounded behind the popping crease. When the bails light up, satisfied, I'm ready with my decision for the big screen.
I tell you what, KL Rahul has become really good at this. It's another stumping in a flash. Don't worry about how the balls got to the bails or the stumps. The key there was how quickly that happened.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe that one. We've seen in the previous couple of overs how quick KL Rahul was up the stumps. But this time, he's taken all the hands out of the equation. A little edge there by Marnus Labuschagne onto his right pad of KL Rahul and deflected back to the stump. He can see himself a little bit unlucky there, Marnus, but he has to depart. Australia are 4 for 157.
And I guess it's
Live your best phone life on the UK's fastest 5G network, free.
PlayStation.
Australia now 4 for 157. What it does bring to the crease is Josh Inglis. He's been given an opportunity today with Alex Carey rested, but the one thing he does do well, Inglis, he's got a reputation of playing spin well.
That's one sign of playing spin well. If you're keen to get onto the back foot to play spin, those are his early numbers. Arm over, they could maybe go to Sri. Here, roll a couple of overs leg spin, but I guess they'll stick with 5. Everything now. all the activity that you see, even at the international level, to top sides. It's all with the World Cup in mind. You might see India just persisting with the 5. Here, Rahul, the captain.
They're going for the reverse sweep there. Something out of the ordinary. Yes, he does play the shot. It just ended up dragging his back leg a bit too long. The ball to ricochet of KL Rahul's pads onto the stumps. And again, this is one thing which is going to happen. Cameron Green, 15 of 31. So the batter at the other end, again, is trying to, or going to do something different, trying to break the shackles.
Yeah, you're right. And that's with that shot there from Marnus. Probably was a bit of scoreboard pressure involved in that. It's a little unlucky. He had a little edge on it, dropped by the keeper, but when the ricochet onto the stumps, no, it's not your day when that happens.
But Marnus in his cricketing career has had a lot of luck.
100%.
Sometimes you have the rub of the green, but it tends to catch up. And as you play longer, it tends to even out.
As we know with this great game, the cricketing gods, it always turns. A big opportunity now here. Cameron Green. Inglis been given an opportunity today with the gloves. That's what he does with the bat here to get Australia back on track and back into this game.
Power. That's going to be 4 runs. Just for a second, you thought that fielder was in the game, but Cameron Green power took over.
You were too young for Gridley pace, Mike. So many covers पे चौका मारा था.
Much needed boundary there by Cameron Green. Advanced down, just gave himself a little bit of room. And we know once he does give it full flourish of that bat, the power he does possess. A much needed boundary there for the Australians.
It's that in-between game for someone like Cameron Green to sort out. It's either a block or a big shot.
So interestingly, because for the last few years, T20 cricket, Test cricket, the field format hasn't been in the spotlight as much. Now, World Cup here, suddenly, all of us focused on this format, and you can see what's needed now in this format that sits in between T20s and Test cricket. It's really the game that is to be played in the second and third gear, basically getting 1s and 2s for the bulk of the innings. That's where he struggled a bit, so he's looking for the big shots to get a move on. 163 for 4.
With Post Office Over 50s live cover, you can have the time of your life, safe in the knowledge we'll pay out money when your time is up. UK resident 50 to 80, your guaranteed acceptance. No health checks, and from just £1.15 a week. Plus, free 24/7 GP access with a health and wellbeing benefit. Purchase and receive a £100 gift card for Amazon.co.uk, Tesco or M&S. Call Post Office on 0800 171 2211.
Josh Inglis now. He does like to use the paddle sweep, the reverse sweep. He's very proactive at the crease.
Good ball. They also had a leg slip with Josh Inglis. Obviously, news travels. They to do even if they haven't played against him much.
Straight away they put a leg slip in, they put their deep point very fine. No, one of Josh Inglis' strengths is the reverse sweep.
Lovely, Ashley. And possibly this was another time for someone like Ravichandran Ashwin to have mid-on up, because it gives him the option to bowl at him again. There's a dot ball which can be bowled. You push one to mid-on. If he has to do something, possibly he has to go aerial. It's a lot more opportunity to bowl to the same batter.
would that be a little too much of a risk taken by the bowler, because he's an off spinner to a right-hander, having somebody who's got the long levers to have that mid-on that's hitting with the turn inside the circle?
Yeah, that's a chance which you take, and he's just come into bat. The sweep and the reverse sweep, but to hit over mid-on, either it has to be a foolish delivery or he has to use his feet to do that. And someone like Ravichandran Ashwin has the capacity or the capability to beat him in the air and induce a false shot. So that's why mid-on early on is fine. 165 for 4.
The last over of that new spell from Shardul Thakur was very promising. Was able to keep the batters quiet, build pressure. Cameron Green on strike. Brad, tell us something about Cameron Green as we see Shardul Thakur's pitch match first, the way he is bowled. Yeah, just the lengths that he's bowled. Have a look at that, and then maybe Brad, you could explain to us. Yeah, this is Shardul. This inning second spell has been a little fuller. You can see the mixture of length in the first spell. And this is the bowler who will try everything possible. He's bowled virtually in every length of that pitch in that first spell. He's gone for it. Yeah, the non-striker wasn't really ready for the single, but Cameron Green, where's his batting career going? Didn't have a great Ashes series. Had a good start here in India on tough pitches in the Test series.
And the one thing we'll notice with Cameron Green, he's a really fast learner. We've seen that in the Test matches he's played. He's got better every time he's played. I'll just take you back to a series in Sri Lanka. I remember they played 2 Tests at Galle, and he was the one who got man of the match in one of those Test matches. But what we've seen from him is that he got better every innings he played. He learned a way, he learned a role to play, and that's why these games are so important for a player like Green. He'll come into the World Cup, probably bat in the middle order, so he'll learn to use his height forward and back. But the biggest strength he has is he's a fast learner.
Numbers are impressive still. Early days in his one-day career, but the average is good. And the strike rates of modern day batters in 50 overs hovers around 80, 90, if not 100. That's why one of the greatest all-time one-day batters was Sir Viv Richards, in an era where top-class batters would strike at maybe 65, 70. He would have a strike rate of 90. Now, something that the umpires have seen, maybe there's a light shower at the moment. I guess with the wind stopping, the rain's got a chance to just come down. Yeah, the trees have gone still. And it's almost like I never left Colombo to come to India. India have done well on a page. It's a good performance. They got set batters out, which meant that they were always in the game, bowling to the new batters, and hence that kind of reception from Rahul Dravid on the left, Vikram Rathod, the batting coach, on the right. Pleased with the effort.
Yeah, they've done well with the ball. India, they've been consistent. They've asked a lot of questions, the Australian batsmen. But I think where it turned around is when Warner got out in the 18th over, Steve Smith in the 21st. It's just when Australia was starting to get some momentum back, control the game, and just to lose those 2 set batters at that time, put the pressure straight back on the middle order of Australia.
Yeah, 94 runs partnership between Steve Smith and David Warner. Then they lost another wicket. 14 runs, 45 runs were added in 50 years cricket. You need somebody to get a big 100. Two guys get it, even better. It's like Rahul and Virat Kohli against Pakistan in the Asia Cup. This is where the match has come to a halt because of rain. Top order contributing 58%. Middle order at this stage 38% of the runs. They get the batting order for Australia. They've got great depth. David Warner looked good today.
Yeah, worked his way into his innings, David Warner. He had to deal with some good bowling from Mohammad Shami and Bumrah. Once he weathered that storm, all of a sudden we've seen a bit of the old David Warner back. He took the game on, didn't try to overplay his hand. The one thing I liked about him today, he was positive. He was looking to score after he got through that initial onslaught. And that partnership there with Steve Smith at 94 is just when Australia had got control back of the game.
Very important game for India as well when they introduced Washington Sundar and Ravichandran Ashwin as options to the squad that was announced a few days back. Akshar Patel's injury has got the selectors to just look around a little bit. So bowling performances also were important today. It's going to be a key batter for Australia in the World Cup. Important position. Knows these conditions well. 50 overs cricket looks closer to Test cricket rather than an extended version of T20 cricket, you would think.
Yeah, Steve Smith's been out of the game for some time. He's had a wrist injury coming out of the Ashes. We've seen today he's just started to get some rhythm back in his game, but he had to put up with a strong spell there from Shami and Bumrah. They were outstanding both with the new ball today. The spinners have played their role in Ashes and Jadeja, but just seen little signs of Steve Smith that he's just getting his rhythm back in his game, and he'll need these 5 games to get back into some sort of form because he's had an extended break.
Yeah, the first one went to Mohammad Shami. A typical Shami delivery, getting the outside edge. Good bowling from Ravindra Jadeja. Slowed it up ever so slightly, trying to play through mid-wicket, and this one, a nip backer from from Mohammad Shami, and then Ravichandran Ashwin getting the last wicket. A lucky one for him, but not so for Mohammad Labuschagne.
Did you get a few of those, Brad, those kind of stumpings?
I remember one in the West Indies actually, in one of my first Test match where I got a pretty to see the result. Yeah, he's had an interesting day, KL Rahul. He's captained the team. He's got to keep wickets. It's a hot day. He's been very good up the stumps. That ball was a little deflection off Marnus's glove, but it's just been standing back. He's found life a little bit difficult.
Doesn't look that bad now. The skies are clearing up. You're seeing a lot of blue and white clouds. So for the moment, you can see nobody's got the umbrellas out. The groundsmen as well are just next to the covers, waiting for the head, their boss, to tell them to take the covers off because it's not raining anymore. It certainly got brighter. So it's a very, very quick passing shower this.
Yeah, this is the frustrating part of the game. If you have a look at the crowd, there's no umbrellas out. The ground staff is still standing out on the ground. It's not that strong. You sometimes think these are the sort of conditions you can play through and keep entertaining the crowd.
A few things that happened in the Asia Cup, which was very heartening to see, something to learn from, because the moment the rain stopped, they would take the covers off in a jiffy and the match would start in the next 5 minutes. There wasn't just waiting around and a fixed resumption time given. They just would take the covers off and get on with the game.
I don't think I've been to anywhere in the world, but Sri Lanka do it better than anyone else. As soon as the rain comes, they've got people everywhere, and the whole ground is covered in 5 minutes. They do it extraordinary over there.
It's a country that has legitimate 2 monsoons. So if you have unseasonal rains, basically it's raining throughout the year. Good sign. Taking the covers off. Don't have to worry about water collecting on the covers. Anil Chaudhary, the reserve umpire, will be in charge of this issue for the moment. Head-to-head at Mohali in one-day internationals. 5 matches, India won 1, Australia won 4.
The Big Bash with the Brisbane Heat over the last couple of years, he's been very impressive for them, and he's earned his way into now the South Australian Shield team in both forms of the game. So be very surprised if we don't get a look at him during this series, but he's a very, very talented young man, and as you said, if you can bowl left arm and get the ball at 150 Ks, you're an asset to any team.
International format, lots of private leagues, so there's always talent coming through, more in number, and the few will catch the eye of the selectors for the international cricket that we have. 1996, this was our time cut. India 50 was 289 for 6. One of those occasions when India managed to win a game here. They set the target, Australia couldn't get there, so I'm looking at spinners. What did they do? Kumble got 3, Sunil Joshi got 1.
Now I'm looking at the Australian bowling card there. Mark Waugh, you normally see him in the batting side of things. Taylor 78, Slater 52, Bevan 40. But Mark Waugh 2 for 38, and Stuart Law, whether he's bowling his leg spin or medium pace, he got 2 for 65. So Mark Waugh normally in the runs.
And the both comfortably outbowled Glenn McGrath. Tendulkar always amongst the runs, so that's no surprise.
Since you said your times, were you playing this game, Sanjay?
I'm not so sure. I played so much cricket. Maybe not. It was one-day cricket. By that time, I think they were done with me. So the Indian supports are waiting for the covers to be taken off. The great rope trick at the moment in execution, and we should be able to get some play very shortly.
This October on Eurosport. The Track Cycling Champions League gets underway in Mallorca before shifting on to Berlin for round 2. The Home Nation Series returns with all the drama of the English Open and the Northern Ireland Open, while we hit the track for the final explosive showdowns in the British and World Superbike Championships. It's all here this October, live on Eurosport and Discovery Plus.
This is Bob. His company sells the best thing ever. He's been told that TV is a great way to reach new customers. However, Bob believes that TV adverts are expensive and complicated. But then Bob hasn't met the people that TV ads work. If he had, he'd know that their friendly team could easily make thought. Sadly, customers still don't know about the best thing ever. But unlike Bob, they do know about TV ads work. TV ads work. Let's talk TV.
We're gonna lay it down pretty easy. Take a load off, man. And low.
Treats erection difficulties for up to 36 hours. Plenty of time to change plans. Cialis together could be your lucky day and a half.
Joe Joyce is such a nice guy.
Such a gentleman. He's a charmer. Such a kind young man. Not a man who wants to be the centre of attention.
Maybe Joyce is just too nice to be a world champion.
Yeah, Mohamed Shami was the bowler to get the first wicket. Mitchell Marsh prodding at one, getting the outside edge, and comfortably taken at slip by Shubman Gill. David Warner trying to heave one on the onside. Extra bounce from Ravindra Jadeja. Slightly short, getting the top edge. And comfortably taken once again by Shubman Gill.
Yeah, little things, you're right, Karthik, that extra bounce was only possible because of the way he released the ball. And that got the miss hit because of the extra bounce. Warner didn't count for it. This was movement off the pitch.
Steve Smith and see a little bit unlucky there. A lot of movement. Minus Labuschagne. It just feels something about to happen. He's got a little glove through that drop by Peter Ravel, but off his glove and into the stump for a frustrating spell there for Marnus Labuschagne. Have a look at the wagon wheel there for Australia. It's just taken a little dive since those wickets, but they're 4 for 166 and play's just about to restart.
Crazy weather for 15 minutes. It looked dark and gloomy, gusty winds, all that's gone. Now it's back to nice, bright, clear skies. The batters will be happy to resume their partnership.
It's a frustrating part of the game for me that it didn't look like there was much in that. Sometimes you just think they go off a little bit too early. They could have probably played through that. The crowd wasn't. They'd seen no umbrellas. The ground staff was standing on the ground. Sometimes I think we just shoot the gun a bit early.
And how life has changed for KL Rahul at that long injury break. Interestingly, a 3-format player was dropped from the test matches, lost his place in the T20 format, so 50 overs was the only one left for him. So the Asia Cup was a big one. After a long injury, he was always there as one of the main players, but just before the Asia Cup had that niggle, which meant that Ishan Kishan got a game, and he played terrific innings, Ishan Kishan against Pakistan. So KL Rahul's chance was gone. Potentially would have derailed his one-day career because Shreyas Iyer was the incumbent, but then the spasm of Shreyas Iyer has set KL Rahul free. Got 100 superbly on different pitches and he's back in, and today leading India in this series is for the first 2 games. But here we go. Yeah, when it came up a few years back, this stadium in Mohali got a lot of attention. Very big ground, still an outfield. Always had a pitch that had something for the seam bowlers. They had this very novel method of, and in that time there was always a problem of the crowd coming onto the ground. If a star got 100, there would be hundreds jumping onto the field to congratulate and just maybe touch the hero. So they developed this idea of a moat between the crowd and the ground to keep the crowd in the stands and not get them to come onto the ground. And now it's covered by net. That little thing that you see ground was the first time that was brought into a cricket ground. Keep the crowds away. It's gone straight. More a chip than a full blasted lofted shot.
In this 15-minute period, what do you think Australia would have spoken about, Brad? Given the situation they're in, 4 wickets down, Josh Inglis in.
I think they would have spoke about what they think is a realistic score. That they would have started the day thinking a score over 300. But I imagine they would have gone back in the shed there, reassessed where they thought the game was at, and they have set batsmen still in the last 10. They can get to 300, but they'll be talking a lot about is make sure they build a partnership.
Tell you what, I'm seeing Ashwin bowl completely differently this over. Maybe that's another thing that's happened. The Indian think tank, the coach or whoever has got into his ears saying, bowl it slowly, get the ball to turn. He's starting to do that, especially against Cameron Green, who's a big hitter. Who's generally bowling flatter, quicker to him. Here's another one. Big flighted delivery. That's changed after the passing shower, and it's good to see. 171 for 4.
I'm back. And some things never change.
I do really want to know more about you.
I have been keeping something from you.
Gosh, lots happened in the last 2 years.
Maybe the ad should have said overly friendly neighbours.
Why didn't you tell me who you are? I can't make it stop.
There'll be no coming back from it.
Nothing can stop me.
It's a good point you make. Maybe that's one of the reasons. Maybe nerves, just sort of settling into the game before he can, show his full range.
The one thing when you're out of the team for a long time, you want to make sure you stay in the game. And we've seen from 5 to 10 overs, he's got a lot more over the ball. He's looked to spin the ball more and not being that containing bowler, which is now he looks like he's going to take a wicket every ball.
Didn't enjoy his first spell from the Harbhajan Singh end, but he's loved the Yuvraj Singh end. He's also come to the end of his 10 overs, so it was something to like in the final couple of overs.
The reason also he bowled so well from the other end is he was able to use the breeze. He was able to use his skill set, get the ball to drift, and then all of a sudden that did bring his off spinner back in the game. He felt a lot more confident, more wicket opportunities because he was allowed to use the breeze.
That's his pitch map that you just saw there, and that's the thing sometimes take for granted with Ashwin. Just his control over everything that he does. Shami has been so impressive. With the new ball is something you expect, but with them slightly older delivery is getting the ball to top off the pitch.
Mohammad Shami, no matter what conditions offer, you feel like you're always in the game. You just have a look at his pitch match there. It's nice and full. He's hitting that 6 to 8 metre length, but to me, it's his wrist. His wrist is in such good position. He always presents as seaman. We've seen with Steve Smith's dismissal where the ball hit and came in a long way. And yes, it could have been the surface, but a lot of that's got to do with Sammy's wrist also.
Yeah, lots of movement in the crease, and it was all worth it in the end. It's 4.
Quite inventive. Again, at this stage of the game, you require it. But that's the way Josh Inglis plays. He doesn't seem like he's a power player. He uses the pace of the bowler and finds those angles to score runs.
He's always in control of that single. As Ruturaj Gaikwad there at mid-on is swift on the field.
Well, they have been, the Aussies, since they've come out after the break, is a lot more busy. It's a good run here by Josh Inglis. Just notice the fielder was just on his heels, easily home. What he does bring is a lot of energy to the crease. He's got the ram shot. He makes the bowlers ask a lot of questions.
Six runs of that over, 177 for 4.
Just 29 runs have come in the last 9 overs. And we're getting into the last 10, the last power play. So there's got to be some plan about this. Australia going at 4.66. Do they think, right, 250 is a good score here? 250, 260. Do we keep wickets? Go for it with Stoinis and Shaw. Now Bumrah comes back. You'll see around this time, don't you? 37, 38, you get the lead bowlers back because you've only got 4 fielders outside. For number 40, you get the extra fielder out because there's how many overs? 2 overs left of Jadeja, and then he'll finish with the 3 seamers. So presumably Jadeja will bowl 41 and 43, you think? We'll go for 4. He's placed it well. So we're seeing first signs now in the previous over when Josh Inglis played the little paddle shot that Australia's starting to get a move on here.
It's a nice shot there by Cameron Green. It's a little bit too much width there from Bumrah. Quick hands. Cameron Green just to beat backward point. What we have seen is the Australians been a lot more proactive since they've come back after the break.
So tell me, how is KL Rahul using Jasprit Bumrah here? This is his 7th over, over number 39. There's one more to go for the field to move out a little bit to get the extra fielder out. Does he give him a 2-over spell here and then keep only 2 back, or is this just a 1-off, 1 over and keep 3 for the back?
I think he's going to keep 3 for the back by the looks of it. If he finishes off the 7th, maybe 45, 48 and 50. Oh, sorry, 46, 48. use him for, because as you said, Ravindra Jadeja, immediately after that extra fielder goes out in the third power play, you can bowl those 2 overs. Shardul has to come in along with Ravindra Jadeja, and then Shami and Bumrah to finish off the innings. Shami has got 3, Bumrah would have 3. Maybe Shami can bowl that 1 over in between somewhere. Ravichandran Ashwin is bowled out, 1 for 47.
की घोषणा की जाएगी फास्ट की तरफ से, जहां
would be in if they lose a wicket. So you want someone like Shami and
5 खिलाड़ी
to be there. At least 5 overs between the 2 of them.
We've got him a lot of batting depth, Australia. Still got Matt Short to calm Marcus.
Full length गेंद
how powerful he is in the last 10 overs.
पर से फ्लिक कर दी गई दोनों पर, और इस वक्त पार्टनरशिप 28 रनों की उछली है। तो इस वक्त पार्टनरशिप में रन गति भी तेज हुई है। पिछले 2 ओवरों से दोनों बल्लेबाजों ने चौके मारे हैं, और अब इस ओवर में एक और बार मोहम्मद शमी की गति का फायदा उठाने के लिए ग्रीन काफी ज्यादा आक्रामक होते दिखाई दे सकते हैं। बहुत ज्यादा संभले हुए अंदाज में आगे बढ़े हैं। अभी तक 58 का केवल इनका स्ट्राइक रेट है। सामना करता रहेंगे शमी के इस ओवर की तीसरी गेंद का। दौड़ते हुए मोहम्मद शमी दाहिने हाथ के बल्लेबाज के लिए बिना स्लिप के साथ ये गेंद ऑस्टन के लाइन से लेट कट करने के लिए चलेगा। मिस फील्डिंग केएल राहुल की तरफ से एक और बार सिंगल लेने का बल्लेबाजों को मौका। पैरों के बीच में से गेंद निकल गई। इस बार केएल राहुल के सामने गेंद ने टिप्पा खाया तो कैरी नहीं हो पाया, और इस वक्त यहाँ पर रनआउट का मौका, और रनआउट में बदल दिया इस मौके को सूर्य कुमार यादव ने। बहुत जबरदस्त
Watch this game now for 39 overs. In your mind, and I'm not going back to the fact that 2 of you did the pitch report, just asking because the 2 of you were here. 260, 270, a good score on this track, you think? Australia aiming to go big, maybe aim to 90, try and get 100 in the back 10. Not easy.
I still think 300's on the cards. If Australia have a good back 10, you got Marcus Stoinis, you got Matty Short there. We know the power game they both have, but it's a lot to do with these two. They've got to take momentum into these last few overs.
Hey, you look at the bowlers who have the number of overs left now, Harsha. I'm pretty sure that Cameron Green and Josh Inglis, post the 40th over, they have or will try and target Shardul Thakur and Ravindra Jadeja. They have to, because they know that they're up against Bumrah and Shami later on. So then you want a good start to that power play.
Just that I was a bit perplexed by the fact that they went 10 overs for just about 32, 33 runs in between. You knock it round, you get 45 fairly easily. Is there something in the surface that maybe we're missing? Or is it that they've just said, now we've got twin objectives, we need Cameron Green to get a lot of time in between? Oh, through KL Rahul. Slightly awkward bounce and take 2. There should be trouble. And the run out eventually. Eventually the run out from Surya Kumar Yadav. There's all kinds of chaos happening. One batter thought there was 2. The other was convinced there was 1. That's often a recipe for a run out. The throw came to the wrong end. The ball was rolling harmlessly along. And a backhander from Surya Kumar Yadav. We had that much time.
He wanted the second run, always. Just looking at what the ball was doing, Mohammad Shami caught in the middle of the pitch, but Surya Kumar Yadav in the right position. And he's extremely happy as Cam Green walks away for 31, Australia 186 for 5.
How much did we make today?
5 million?
How much did we lose?
$1 billion.
It's the craziest I think I've ever seen.
Now money. The Monopoly game is back at McDonald's. Peel on pack, then peel again in app.
Wide English still in strike. One of Australia doing their homework, saying we play India first on the 8th of October in Chennai. One of their notes would be, beware the KL Rahul misfield. That inevitably leads to a wicket. We've seen it twice now.
There was an ugly mix-up there for the Australians. That brings Marcus Stoinis to the crease. He's played a lot in India. Seen him do it many times in the IPL, the power game he has at the back end of the game. Has a bit of a lean patch of late Marcus Stoinis. Hasn't got a 50 since last World Cup. Just having a look at the run out there. Lazy work by KL Rahul. Work from third man. Inglis was just ball watching. Wasn't really watching his partner, but that's a good confidence builder there for Sky. He's had a tough day in the field.
Well, as a result, only 3 of that over 2. 40 gone now. It's 187 for 5, Australia. Batting to come, Matt Short, Pat Cummins, Sean Abbott, they can all bat. The question is, Australia scoring at 4.68 and over. Right, Josh Inglis has played 23 balls. That's enough of a sighter as you go into the back 10. And Bumrah gets another over, his 8th, the 41st of the innings. Always interested when I see Ishan Kishan down on the boundary. I asked him this morning, I said, how's your throwing arm coming along? You've kept wickets all your life. How was yours, Brad? You got a good throwing arm?
Well, it was fresh. That's one thing Ishan Kishan's arm will be. You don't do a lot of throwing as wicket keepers, but it's also a novelty to be in the field. I did a couple of times for Australia, and you're running around, you're full of energy for about 15 overs, and the last 20 overs, it becomes a long
Marcus Stoinis with his first ball. Rahul still got 5 inside the circle. That's not such a bad thing. You've got a new batter in. Get the extra fielder in.
I like the aggression here. Kept 5 in. You don't have to. Marcus Stoinis is new to the crease. And what you're trying to do here is give him Bumrah one more over. We thought he might have had a spell, but he recognises a big moment in the match, and they can just get another wicket here. Get Matt Short in. Sean Abbott, who's inexperienced at this level. We know the power he has, but hasn't played much. Smart captaincy.
As you rightly said, Brad, sometimes you think, okay, Bumrah's going to have a spell, and suddenly you get a wicket and a new man comes in and you think, okay, if I get rid of this man here, we can actually make inroads at the Australian lower order. They're all bowlers who can bat. So it's a good ploy and a good thinking, or a change of thinking, for KL Rahul to bring or give Bumrah that extra over.
ऑस्ट्रेलिया का स्कोर देंगे, काफी इंपॉर्टेंट ये गेंद रहेगी, आखिरी गेंद इस ओवर के लेकर आएंगे, और यहाँ पर डॉट
finds a gap, valuable boundary for Marcus Stoinis.
Bruma just over pitch there. Loosen that bottom hand. Still got a big piece of it. Need backward point for 4 runs. It's a power he does have, Marcus Sorensen, if he gets in. Normally takes a few balls to get in, but once he's got the rim of the track, he can use that power he's got all over the ground.
What's the response from Bumrah? I just wonder if they couldn't have sneaked a single through there. The non-striker was probably, he had the best view. He's once again looking at that hand of his again.
Just have a look at the wicketkeeper's reaction here. See that left hand, pull it away. He had one get on the end of his finger really early today from Mohammad Shami, and he struggled for the rest of the day with the ball bounced in front of him. Just doesn't look right with that left glove.
Disturbance तो यहाँ पे अगली गेंद
He's got an
दोबारा से
option.
डालेंगे.
Does he need to keep Keane?
लेकिन दूसरे फील्डर ने यहाँ पे कवर किया.
Is he keeping wickets because he's the best
अभी
keeper
यहाँ
in the
पे
side, or
51 गेंदों में
is he
153
protecting
रन
his
चाहिए,
spot?
तो दोस्तों कमेंट करके बताइए क्या
He's
यहाँ
keeping wickets because
ऑस्ट्रेलिया
I
यह
think that's a
मुकाबला
role that
जीत
he's been
पाएगा
assigned to at
या
the
फिर
World
यह
Cup. So the more
भारत
he
ही
keeps, the better
मुकाबला
off he
जीतेगा.
is.
देखना होगा. चलिए बढ़िया शॉट, लेकिन पीछे फील्डर. एक ही रन मिलेगा यहाँ पे.
5 from that Bumrah over. It's 192 for 5.
दोनों ही बल्लेबाज खतरनाक है ऑस्ट्रेलिया के. यहाँ पे अगर ये चल गए तो यहाँ पे
The lights are on. We had that extraordinary phase in between when it suddenly grew very dark. I was afraid there might be a downpour. We've seen so many of those in the last couple of weeks. But just a little drizzle, and then it went away. Shardul Thakur, first of 3 overs. They'll take the run. Yeah, Brad Haddon suggested there might be a sore finger for KL Rahul, but we haven't seen a physio come out, for example.
No, you think there might have been if it happened early in the game, even just to give him some painkillers. But well, Brad's got more experience than us with the gloves on, so maybe just the way he's reacting when the ball's coming towards him, he's just flinching a little bit and not really committing to catching it or stopping it.
You never kept wickets ever?
I didn't need gloves on to catch the ball.
Trust you to have the right comeback line every time.
No, they were normally the unathletic ones who kept.
Come on, Sanjay, you're not going to accept that you kept wickets.
Sir, his comebacks marks are generally very boastful. Didn't need wicket-keeper.
I think I'll take a break. The two of you can have a go.
You asked a question, Harsha, so I was just answering it, but
giving an honest answer.
Brad, I don't know if you picked that up. He just said the keepers are the most unathletic people. Right back.
The exceptions to the rule, he just said.
Come on, let's talk World Cup, Mark. Obviously, something has been said about Australia. I mean, India came from Asia Cup with most boxes ticked. Which are the important ones for you here?
In these 3 one-days, well, I mean, in the middle to late order runs, Australia have often got off good starts and then struggled in this period. back from injuries, a bit of a question mark.
And another boundary. And I think he'd be happier with this one because it was very crisply strong, just enough room to the right of Shubman Gill in the covers.
Well, simply said, shot of the innings for me. Nothing wrong with the ball. There's no width. It's not too short. This is what Stoinis has. You know, this sort of unexpected
He's got
counter.
power. He's got power. That's what he's got. And he's up against medium pace. You know, Thakur is bowling medium pace. It's there to be hit, isn't it? It's not Bumrah or Shami, that extra yard of pace. This is a real opportunity to cash in right now for Australia.
And they've gone hard at his first over.
Yep.
12 came off it. 8 to go. 204 for 5, Australia.
They're very lucky to have somebody like Mark Waugh with us, over 100 Test matches, selector as well for Australia, has followed Australian cricket very closely. Talking about Australian plans and the boxes getting ticked. That's the term that has been commonly used for all the matches before the World Cup. Mitchell Marsh opening for Australia. You like him at that position?
Well, I mean, it's a loss that Travis Head's not there. There's no doubt about that, because he's been Australia's most prolific batsman in all forms of cricket, not T20s, but Test matches and 50 overs the last 12 months. So he's a loss, definitely, and it looks like he's going to be, at best, only competing in the back end of the tournament. So that's upset the plans a little bit. But, I mean, there's options to open with either Mitch Marsh, even Cameron Green. He's a guy that, you know, could open the batting. I feel like he's better with pace on the ball, so he's another option for Australia.
And if they do open, both Cameron Green and Mitchell Marsh, you expect them to play normally or take the bowling on a little bit?
I think Mitch Marsh will definitely take the bowling on. Cameron Green, probably not so much, but chipped away. Just need to hit that a little softer. You might get 2 on the onside, but you know, I think Mitchell Marsh is natural after bowling, but you've still got to have the right balance. You can't be reckless. You can be aggressive without being reckless, so you've got to get the right balance. But he's an option. I think Steve Smith at 3, he's still playing well enough to have a really big input.
My first instinct when I saw Travis Head was gone was someone who bats number 3 in Test cricket would enjoy having just 2 fielders outside, and I thought, why not Labuschagne? If he's got to be in the side, you've got enough power hitters through the middle with Maxwell and Marsh maybe at 3 and Steve Smith controlling at 4. That's a good shot. It's a lovely shot. And just beats the fielder for 4. So Australia would have realized these are the overs in which they can get a move on. The 5 of Shardul and Jadeja. They've got 7 of this one with 12 from Shardul. So putting their foot on the pedal.
That's a beautiful shot. We saw Marcus Stoinis play a lovely cover drive. That's off the back foot, so not easy to get power through that region, but beautifully struck, and the perfect placement. Just past the man on the right at short cover and to the left of the man in the deep.
Did well not to go too far right of the man at cover. That would have made it easier for the man in the deep.
So that shot there, that's twice in this over. So if you're playing on bigger grounds and you've got experience, you're just hitting that past the circle and you'll get 2 every time. You hit it hard like that, you just get 1. It's something, you know, it's just a little thing, but it's important.
Pretty good timing on that too, was well wide of the man there. Take 2 quite easily. Biggish risk. Can they get a 3rd? Yeah, I don't think they were alive to it. 10 of it. 2-1-4 for 5 with 7 to play. Well, let's take a look at this then. 7 overs to go. Australia would want 70, 80 runs, I think. Here to suggest that 270 could be a good enough score. It's not an easy ground to defend.
Look, I think 300 would be the sort of target you'd be looking at batting first, but the pitches, it's just held a little bit at times. Some of the spinners, Jadeja's got the ball a hole a bit, and we've seen the ball grip for the seamers a couple of times. The locals are saying, and that includes Sanjay next to me here, that the pitch gets better to bat on once the lights are on. So if you take that into account, you know, Australia are probably 20 or 30 short of where they want to be at the moment.
Another thing to look forward to this World Cup is obviously the iconic players. We've got Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Steve Smith for Australia. Can they take the World Cup 2023? They've been around for a while. By storm. Rohit Sharma, 500s in the last World Cup. Virat Kohli, this all-time great white ball bowler. Or will the younger players now play a different brand of 50 years cricket and make more of an impact? That's another thing to look at. Good Yorker. Where do you think that's heading?
Well, I think that's the beauty of the tournament coming up. I think there's 6 teams who could easily say they could win the tournament. And there's so much depth in a lot of the squads. I think it's the most even World Cup I've seen for a long time. I mean, you've got Australia, India, England, probably the 3 top picks. Then you've got Pakistan, South Africa and New Zealand. And that's no disrespect to the other 4 teams. But you've got 6 teams who have got good enough squads to win the tournament. So, I mean, there's a lot of star-studded elderly players in, if that's the word, and a lot of the squads and some younger players coming through. I think it's going to be, I think it's anyone's guess, really, who's going to star.
Just wide, and the boundaries are coming in. I think he was searching for the Yorker again. He bowled a really good one. And the shot beat Shubman Gill inside the circle.
Well, that's a good shot because it wasn't far off a Yorker, and to get that much power from Inglis, it's a really good shot. And I think if you're going to bowl that length, you maybe could bring your third man up and stick your mid-off back if you're looking to bowl really full. I know Inglis has got all the funky shots, but if you're going to bowl that length, I think mid-off could easily go back onto the rope.
He's dropped that shot. I think he was waiting for it. I think he was waiting for it because he had so much time, and it's timed beautifully.
Absolutely. I just wonder in the replay whether we'll see some kind of trigger movement going back, because after 2 full balls, it was almost a forewarning. Here's a short one coming.
Well, it's funny. The only bowler that's bowled short all day is the slowest of the quicks, Thakur. He's the medium pacer, and he's the only one that's bowled short. And every time he's bowled short, he's copped a pasting. It's just not the right length for him.
Yeah, you were suggesting a field where if you're bowling the Yorker, get the third man in. I think they'll try and do that. But Shardul Thakur is the kind of bowler who wants both bases covered because he hates to bowl one kind of delivery. That's him outside his comfort zone. He just wants to have the freedom of trying various deliveries. Now third man has come in. They've got somebody for the short ball, 4 in the deep. This is not a bad compromise. Allows him to keep bowling that short ball. This was space taken off. The idea of bowling the bouncer is just to surprise the batter. It's a kind of a variation. He doesn't fancy himself to be a bowler quick enough, to rattle the batter with the short ball.
What's he going to bowl now, though? Because all his support's on the onside. He's got long on, deep mid-wicket, deep square. Now long off is going out. So fine leg is in.
So he's got the license to bowl a Yorker on off stump. He can bowl the real slow short delivery, because if he bowls it quick, that's going to go into the stands, and the fielders inside the ground wouldn't matter.
And he finishes with 12 of that over, like he did in the I think India might just have played their hand a little too early. The moment Bumrah finished bowling the 41st, the signal to the players batted out was clear. The next 5 overs have to be Jadeja, and the way it's been, the last 3 overs have been a touch expensive. 34, I think, in the last 3 overs or thereabouts. Jadeja with his last one for 47. You mentioned South Africa and New Zealand. I think they come from contrasting places to the World Cup. I think New Zealand with Williamson maybe not available for the earlier part. They're just going through a little dip at the moment. Tim Southee is under cloud as well. Whereas I was very, very hopeful of South Africa. Just wonder if the injury to Nokia takes away a wicket-taking bowler in between.
It does a bit. I actually tipped before it came over here that South Africa would make the semi-finals because they've got 2 good spinners, Shamsi and Maharaj. They've got a really deep batting lineup with players in form. There's that single again. You've got Quinton de Kock, Bavuma, Henrik Klaasen, Markham, Vasudhusan, Miller. Marco Janssen's handy with the bat. So they've actually got a really good side and most bases covered.
Also nothing that's changed from the last 2 World Cup, which was held in India 2011 to this one. India no more has that distinct home advantage. A lot of these foreign teams have a lot of their players playing a lot in India. They have a South African team, and you see the top players have had enough exposure to India, Indian culture, Indian conditions, pitches. New Zealand too. In fact, the teams that you mentioned, say, I find Pakistan after the Asia Cup experience not to be in the same league as South Africa, New Zealand, especially with a couple of their fast bowlers down.
It's interesting you mentioned culturally aware as well, and the camera moved to David Warner, who does music videos to Telugu music. Yeah, I just wondered at one point whether it was more David Warner of Hyderabad and less David Warner of Sydney. Good start to the over, just 3 so far. Is that the shot Mark Waugh was looking for? No, still the single. Remember, Ishan Kishan is right on the boundary there. Just 4 of the over. 230 for 5, Jadeja bowls out. Right, that's South Africa. That top 6 for South Africa is as good as any, and number 7 is excellent too in recent times. Marco Jansen, proper all-rounder. Bavuma, Quinton de Kock, David Miller, Klaasen, Markram and Rassie van der Dusen. It's a very good top 6. Then Marco Jansen at 7. Now comes the issue thereafter. Is Gerald Coetzee good enough to be lead bowler to replace Nokia? Can Lugi and Gidi play that role?
Well, it's a hard spot to cover with equally as good a player as Nokia, because he's an outstanding bowler, bowls quick, got experience in India. So I think the short answer to your question is whoever replaces him is not going to be as good as him, but are they going to be good enough to do a role? I think they're a sneaky chance of getting a long way in the tournament for sure.
Also, obviously, we didn't spend too much time looking at the batting. We didn't talk about Bavuma, who has become a very interesting player, who suddenly out of the blue plays a blinder of an innings and has a huge impact on the game. The other batter there is Klaasen, the obvious name. I mean, 4 years back, Henrik Klaasen was the force in 50 years cricket with the bat. Played a couple of good innings against India, but today is Klaasen. He's in a different league, and that makes South African batting along with David Miller there on small grounds a super dangerous batting side.
Well, their biggest problem in big tournaments has been belief. Having the belief that you're good enough to win it. So, yeah, it's a lot different group of players. Whether they've got the belief there, if they do have it, then I think they're going to be a big threat.
Oh, opened his shoulders. That is a stunning shot. Wow, that is some shot. Just came out of the blue. I was about to say, look, maybe they don't quite trust Shardul. He's got Bumrah back to keep a hold on proceedings. Just look at this shot.
Oh, that is a beautiful shot. He's hit that so cleanly. That is a hard shot to play on this pitch. It's not bouncing much. He just got it wrong, Bumrah. He got it right in the slot, didn't he? It was a nice little juicy half volley, but that's a hell of a shot to hit it so powerful through that area of the ground.
50 of the partnership with 35 balls. Square leg comes inside the circle. Man on the boundary drops to fine leg. Then the little inside edge. Oh, don't run. He gathered it.
A little change of pace there from Bumrah. You just can't get too predictable at this stage of the innings. Nice off cutter, off break. He's hit the ball cleanly, Josh Inglis. He's 42 off 39. He just struggled early in his innings where he just couldn't quite find the gaps, but he's a dangerous player, can hit to all parts of the ground. He's got all the fancy shots as well as the power. You know, he can play the scoop shots.
He's always worth a comeback. Bumrah, you hit him for 6. He'll come back of the next 2 balls. He's produced 2 dot balls.
This is his 9th over, so Bumrah has passed that test in a way, but we are looking at this partnership. See 2 or 3 stunning shots in this partnership. Not much before that. There was runs accumulation, but we've seen some eye-catching shots. And Inglis.
He'll take one for the throw. It can make it quite easily. Wasn't exactly going to hurt KL Rahul's palms. Wasn't coming back strongly enough.
As well, the 50 overs team, I know Naseem Shah and Haris Rao were injured towards the end of the tournament, but good chance they'll come fit for the World Cup. Their obvious worry or box to be ticked is the batting. Lots of dependence on Babar Azam and Rizwan. I know Imamul Haq has got the numbers. A couple of young batters that played in the last game, somebody that could maybe back. Spin is going to be an issue. Shadab Khan doesn't look like a 50 overs bowler. Mohammad Nawaz, limited left arm spinner. I mean, the other teams on paper, it was before the World Cup, stronger. 238 for 5.
Live your best phone life on the UK's fastest 5G network. 3.
Alex Carey won't be wearing that bit for too long. Though Josh Inglis has suggested in this game that should there be an issue with Alex Carey, they've got a very good replacement. A brilliant shot. He's played a lot of these innings in 20 overs cricket.
He plays all around the ground, just such quick hands, and presented a beautiful back face, hit it cleanly. Dangerous player, hard to bowl to.
Sanjay talked about Pakistan's batting. There's a very impressive young player in that team, and I think they might have stumbled onto their best opening combination out of injury, and they thrust Abdullah Shafiq in there, and he looks a cut above the rest.
I'm sorry, Naseem Shah is gone for the World Cup, I thought.
Yeah, no, he's gone. Yeah.
Announced the 11 with that. Was very impressed with Zaman Khan, but apparently he's not, doesn't quite have the experience.
I think Pakistan have to be a little more aggressive with the bat up front and a bit more aggressive with their tactics as well with the ball. They can't just let the game meander and just do it the way they've always done it.
Beautiful shot. Sometimes you look at the shot and say, was it predetermined? But it doesn't matter. He's backed himself to play the shot.
Well, it has to be predetermined to play that shot like that. That's what you've got to do then, is watch the ball closely if it's not quite where you want it. But it ended up just not quite a Yorker. It wasn't far off, but Marcus Stoinis has watched it so closely and just used the pace. So it's some excellent batting in the last 4 or 5 overs here from this partnership.
Yeah, this is a bit like T20 cricket, so right down their lane for these two batters who bat down the order, like Stoinis does in IPL cricket. Now, we'll be anticipating the length. What is Shami going to bowl?
Such power. Such power. That is what Stoinis is about. And I think Stoinis will be aware through all the cricket he's played in India that bowling at the top of the order is Shami's strength. At the bottom, not quite the same.
But this is some shot. And again, it shows the thinking of the batter. He's done nothing. He's just stood still. And he's kept an open mind. There's no premeditation like the ball before. What a shot that was.
It was a great shot. A bit of a nothing ball though from Shami. It was just a hit me length, wasn't it? Not short or not full. I'd rather see him try another Yorker than just